Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to reality.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jaronism, back with another video for you today. Wanted to talk a little bit about Antarctica. So recently, someone who has been studying flat Earth decided to look down into Antarctica, and he found out some things that he did not know.
Because I've been concentrating on Antarctica, I started looking into it. I've never really had the compunction to investigate Antarctica before.
So I guess he had done months of searching and studying flat Earth, but never got around to looking into Antarctica. So he says,
it's the first time I've really looked into these maps. And it seems that everybody, including the Royal Tub-Thumping Brass Band, has marched through Antarctica, and the flat earthers don't know about it.
As soon as he did, he saw that flights took place that go across it. He saw New Year's Eve parties. He saw tourists. And so he came to the conclusion that any good researcher would have come to, that all the flat earth researchers are stupid or they're lying. That's a good conclusion, huh, mate? Well, let me fill you in on a little research on Antarctica that I did. And maybe if you're the good Christian that you say you are, Tiger Dan, you'll apologize for calling me stupid and a liar and anything else that you said. But I've actually done tons of research, just like all of the other flat earthers that I know of have been looking at this stuff for a long time. And we simply didn't search for something on YouTube and then claim it to be a fact. That's not good research. So I'm going to show you some different things about Antarctica, so hopefully you see the difference between good research and just typing something into YouTube and saying, oh, there's the proof. Anybody can go to Antarctica because these people say they've been there. So let's begin.
The Antarctic doesn't exist, and that it's the outer perimeter of this flat earth. It's nonsense. It's foolishness. And I'm ashamed to have gone along with it because this is the first time that I'm looking into this.
It is not foolishness. Believing what you see or read without doing any more further research, that is what foolishness is. As far as my research goes, it is certainly not a continent. That is the conclusion you will come to if you only do basic research. A little in-depth research will reveal the truth, and that's why I'm here. So, first thing we should pay attention to, you'll notice that the planes have a peculiar thing missing: windows. So, when do you want to fly people to a certain location and not have them look out the windows unless you are fooling them about where they are flying? Let's look at the Mercator map on the screen now, the projection. What happens if you travel west from America? You'll pop out on the other side, correct? Over by Japan. Now, what happens if you travel north? Do you pop out the bottom? If you travel south, do you pop out the top? No, you don't. So, interesting little tidbit of information there. Keep that in your mind. The point that you made that I found concerning was you said that it must be a continent because people build huts there and the news goes there. And the news also went to San Bernardino, and that wasn't a real event. And the news also went to Sandy Hook. That wasn't a real event. And people can build huts anywhere. Why would they not be able to build them on the outer edge of the flat earth? I don't understand your research or your line of reasoning, but let's move on and get into these cruises into Antarctica. First of all, you can see on the screen here that they all go to these ports only. So you'll see that that is a very small section of a gigantic continent where people would all assemble and all the little cruise ports would be there. So that's very interesting. And a lot of people like me have been working very hard to figure out what is going on in Antarctica. And so what I did was I wanted to go ahead and look into booking myself a little cruise.
But what they don't do is patrol the entire Antarctica because anybody can go there. And what I find utterly stupid is the fact that there's literally tens of thousands of people moving over Antarctica every single week.
So the first thing I will do is show you why not everyone can go there. And the second thing is I don't usually call people liars, so I'm just going to ask for your evidence. in claiming that tens of thousands of people fly across Antarctica every week. That's what you said. So show me the proof of flying across Antarctica. If you look up any flight charts, they don't fly across the continent at all. So show your evidence on that one. On the screen now, you'll see why not everyone can go to Antarctica. Because not everyone has between $40,000 and $75,000 for a 5 or 6 day trip. So I'm on this site. It's called polarcruises.com. I'm looking at all their little deals, and it looks like a scam to me because you don't need that kind of money for a trip to Antarctica. So anybody charging you $45,000 to $75,000 for a 5 day trip where you're staying in a tent and peeing in a bucket, there's a problem there. So I also looked up and tried to find out how many people fit on one of these planes, and they usually have 66 people on the plane. And if you multiply that by the ticket price of $40,000, you get about $3 million. So this is where I start to smell scam. To make that kind of money is not necessary on upcharging that much. So the first thing I did was run the site through Whoisology. Really cool site if you're looking for the owner of a site or IP information, registrar information. And when I found it, I got some other interesting news. He owns over 150 other related domains besides polarcruises.com. In fact, look at all these. This travel agency or scam center have all the Antarctic and Arctic trips in their hands. You must go through them. So that was just more fuel to my fire. Sites like penguincruise.com, Antarctica Cruise, Antarctica Tour, Antarctica Trip, Polar Bear Cruises, Antarctic Voyage, Antarctic Journey, Antarctica Journeys, Arctic Voyages, Antarctic Tour, Antarctic Vacations with a hyphen, Antarctic Trip, Antarctic Adventures, Antarctica Cruise. So, as you can see, he definitely has the corner on the market. Next up was to find out, are they even in business, or is it an all-out scam? So I searched for reviews on other sites. Obviously not their own site where they could make whatever review they want, but on other sites. First review I find is the review right here. Polar Cruises reviews. Maybe this is too late to help you, but here's our experience with Polar Cruises. They were very helpful at the beginning when we first called about a cruise. They told us there was only one cabin left on the cruise that we were interested in, and that there was a waiting list for it, which upon looking back doesn't make sense. Why sell it to us if there's a waiting list already? But we went ahead, paid the deposit, and wired the balance. 15 days before departure of the cruise, an unexpected medical issue emerged and we couldn't make the cruise. We had no trip cancellation insurance, big mistake, and immediately called Polar Cruises. After some delay, Polar Cruises told us that Oceanwide Expeditions, the ship's operator, would allow a name change for the cabin, that is, find someone else to take the cabin, but we had just 24 hours to do this, and that if we couldn't find anyone, to call them immediately to cancel our booking, but with zero refund. We asked if they could help us given the extensive contacts they have, but they didn't even reply to this appeal and did absolutely nothing to help. We then called Oceanwide Expeditions and said 24 hours was too little and to do anything. After this call, Polar Cruises then informed us that we had a few more days to do the name change. One question that still remains is why Polar Cruises had given us a 24-hour deadline if we were not going to get any refund from Polar Cruises or Oceanwide anyway. In sum, our experience with Polar Cruises was not a good one, and I would never recommend them. So you're talking about probably the theft of $25,000. Just a guess right there. Who knows how much the trip was for? Could have been $70,000, could have been $10,000. I don't know, but I was on the right track. There's a problem with taking a cruise down in Antarctica. Now, I hope you are ready for this story to get a little bit juicy. Thanks for holding on so far, because it's about to get real interesting. So, in looking at the page here that lists the employees, I'd already looked up Jim, couldn't find anything. He's the one who owns all the domains. I looked up Sharon, couldn't find much. Again, both Jim and Sharon have very non-unique names. But Chuck and his wife, Lynn, were easy to find. Here you're looking at Chuck Cross. He is a Antarctic polar expedition leader, so it says. So is his wife. But they only have one photo of themselves all online. So, I mean, if you can search Google, I did here in a second, you'll see it on the screen. and that even putting her name and Bend, Oregon, where they supposedly live, turns up just that one photo and only articles that look like they come from their site or are in regards to them being travel agents. You can see here just that one picture up at the top. So that left me with one other person, and I looked her up, and I always thank my lucky stars when I see somebody with a unique name. They're usually easy to find online. Her name is Nina Spinrad. So here it talks about her being an outdoor lover, and so I began to search Spinrad, Nina, and I get a ton of results for a Dr. Richard W. Spinrad. Who is he? Well, he was named in 2014 as the NOAA Chief Scientist by Barack Obama. Then I see Mr. Spinrad was the President of Research at Oregon State before his appointment as head of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Research Center. And, of course, we know that this travel agency is based in Oregon. So, prior to that, he was the research director for the U.S. Navy. He also is part of the Global Warming Lie, as he is a direct and permanent representative to the United Nations Intercontinental Oceanographic Commission. He has been given awards from Bush and Obama, and now there's no way that this Nina is related to him, right? So I found a obituary for a Gene Thompson, and if you're ever looking for relationships, the best place to go is obituary, since it spells it right out for you. And in Gene Thompson's obituary, he was survived by his daughter, Elena, and her husband, Dr. Richard Spinrad, and their son, Gary, and his wife, Nina Spinrad. So, for those of you following along, we now have one company who owns all the domains for Arctic and Antarctic trips. It has 5 employees. One of them is the daughter-in-law of the head honcho and President Barack Obama's selection for chief scientist for the NOAA. So that means we have a Navy veteran, a military man who has taken a military oath in charge of the ocean as chief scientist, just like all of our scientists who went to the moon, who are on the ISS or are currently or former military. Worth noting, if you spend 10, 20, 30 years in the military and then you get honorable discharge or you leave or retire, you're then considered a civilian. So if you become an astronaut, you are a civilian astronaut. So when we look closely, we can see that honestly most of what we think of as science has been militarized. Also wanted to point out, if you look at the screen now, you'll see I did some flight tracking. And I don't see any planes that are going anywhere near the Antarctic landmass, which really only makes sense when you think of Antarctica being the ring around the flat plane. If it were a giant continent on the bottom of a globe, why wouldn't we be crossing it to go from Australia to South America, etc.?
And flat earthers just don't seem to know about this. And they think that Antarctica doesn't exist and that it's a military manned base and they don't allow anybody in there. Well, anybody can go to Antarctica. And the one good thing that's come out of me investigating this is the fact that it's exposed a lot of these flat earth liars, and they don't go out there patrolling all round Antarctica. That's just stupid. And the most stupid thing of all is that some of these flat earthers think that Antarctica doesn't exist. So
next, let's talk about some of the reviews from people who have taken these cruises to Antarctica, since Tiger Dan wants to say that everyone, including some band, has gone there. We can tell when reviews are real, right? Do all people speak the same? Do they all spell correctly and use proper English and proper punctuation and grammar? Are all people always satisfied? Let's see. Oh, one other note. Do all people's names generally have more than 3 letters? We'll see. First one here is the trip exceeding their expectations. Another one from Kay and Jim here. This was the best trip ever for us. The expedition team was great and so very interesting to chat with. We got another one here from Ted and then Jan. Dear Sharon, I want to thank you for everything. You folks met and exceeded all my expectations and then some. I had the best time on the ship. Down here, hi Sharon from Jan. I don't think any of us knew what an incredible gift it would prove to be to have you upgrade our cabins and our decks. It was great to be all together. We loved the full-length windows and the balconies. Got another one here from another Susan. You may not remember, but you sold me the November Sea Explorer trip. We are now home. We wanted to thank you for the most excellent counsel. You provided the ammunition to convince us that the extended trip was the way to go. You were so right. Your recommendation for rooms was perfect. We were in room 346. They have 66 rooms on the boat, but for some reason, room 346. Sharon here says, we just returned from our trip this evening, and the Antarctica trip was amazing. We saw lots of glaciers, many that looked as if they were sculpted by artists. Next, we have one from Lori. I am still processing what a phenomenal place Antarctica is. Thank you for your help in such a trip of a lifetime. I am so glad I was able to make this phenomenal trip. From Angus, the trip was amazing, exceeded my expectations. The crew was brilliant. I would not hesitate recommending this voyage and ship to anyone. Down there, we have Melissa. We had an excellent trip and it ran perfectly without any hitches. Everyone in the family said it was better than they expected. We loved the trip, the leaders and the staff and the ship and the hotel. Thanks for all your help. How about from Sean? The trip was probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It's difficult to put into words what a great experience it was. From Ben, we had an amazing trip. We will certainly return for more fun. We have Susan again. A lot of Susans. I have just spent the past 2 hours with my client whose trip he arranged to Antarctica. We had many moments of complete emotion as he was explaining his experience to me. From Jassy, it was a really great experience for us. Big ice, mountains capped with snow, horrible wind with snow, chin strap. I don't know what that one is. Next one, the trip was really good. We had several bear encounters in the pack ice. The best one was when the male and female bears came all the way to the boat and kept circling us. The female was putting up quite a display for the male. That was really cool. Those all seem like real reviews to me. Check it out, polarcruises.com.
So the one good thing that's come out of this is that it's exposed all the liars. So why are they lying to us? Why are they saying that Antarctica is the outer perimeter of the flat Earth?
Yeah, I'm not lying to you. So usually when you make that kind of accusation, should be followed with an apology when you see the reasons why I say it's the outer ring. And we haven't even talked yet about the midnight sun, and I'm about to talk about GPS, plus plane flights that go to the South Pole and back. So hold on tight, bud.
Now, I don't know. I don't know what their agenda is. I don't know if those people are stupid or something.
Oh man. Honey!
Yeah.
They know that I'm stupid or something.
Sorry, well, you know...
What am I gonna do?
You can't...
Maybe it's the case that they're collectively a tight-knit group of agents who are trying to put out disinformation about the flat Earth, or maybe it's the case that they're utterly stupid and they haven't even done basic research on the Antarctica. I don't know which one it is. Nobody's allowed to go down to Antarctica, and you'll probably get shot if you go within 1,000 miles of the border. It's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense.
Oh, babe, did you do basic research on Antarctica?
No.
Oh, boy. Did the other agents?
I don't think so.
Great. Now they know that we're a tight-knit group that doesn't do basic research. We're just utterly stupid. And now, intellectual scientific thoughts by Jaron. I just don't get how dumb flat earthers are. I mean, you have a simple choice. Either Earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour, or it's not. Either it travels 21 million miles a day, or zero. Stars are either trillions of miles away, or they're lights in the sky. All that HD footage confirms NASA's in space doing great things, or they're just stealing our money. It's really sad that these guys are so intellectually stupid that they believe their own eyes. I mean, their own senses. Not me. I know where truth lies. It lies in the textbooks, provided and written by Freemason Jesuits who want a better life for me and my family. They want me to give them a run for their money, to challenge them and beat them in this game of life. Thank non-God for science. So, I wanted to talk a quick minute about GPS, and sorry for my scribbles, but hopefully this will help you understand a little better. If the map on the left was the correct map, and we needed people to think that they are on a globe, then you would put ground-based tracking everywhere. So let's call that those red sticks on the map on the left. Then, when someone stands, say, at the 3 dots in South America, then it would coincide with our GPS, or Global Positioning System, which would be the 3 dots on the right. We could just say that those 3 dots were being tracked by big metal satellites orbiting above your head, when in actuality they were ground-based stations. Now, if someone thinks that they are going from, say, South America to Antarctica, on the right, they would actually be just doing the same thing as we see on the left. Same thing with Australia. Going from Australia to the South Pole would look the same way on the left as on the right. And as people fly around the world, the GPS simply tells them where they're going. So even though you're just doing a big circle, the GPS makes you think you're on a globe. So I did find some flights that leave Australia, head down, and they say they cross the South Pole, turn around, and return. So from the 3 places in Australia where these planes leave, all would take 12 hours according to the site, but all distances are 8,000 miles plus. If they were truly going to the 90-degree mark at the South Pole, well, 8,000 miles in 12 hours is 666 miles per hour, and the top speed of a 747 jet is 550 miles per hour. So this means you simply do not actually go to the 90-degree mark. Also, the plane has 366 seats with an average price of about $3,000. So $3,000 times 366 is well over $1 million. The plane uses 36,000 gallons per 10 hours of flight, so I'll even give them 60,000 gallons for their 12-hour flight, charging $2.50 a gallon, and that's the price of gas in California. That's $150,000. So off $1 million take, they spend $150,000 on gas. Pretty nice profit to fly in a circle. So, as you can see, problems with the globe are becoming too much for people to even ignore. Let's look back at the midnight sun now. This is a big issue. Based on current cosmology, if the Earth is a ball, then the North Pole and the South Pole have to be the complete same but opposite, when one is facing the sun versus when the other is facing the sun. For example, Norway gets all-day sun from April through August, and that's 400 miles from the 60-degree marker north. Well, if that's true, then if the Earth is a ball, the same areas opposite must be getting the same no sun in the south on the same days. Well, webcams will clearly show that it is quite a bit different in Antarctica than it is in the north. For instance, the north may get all-day sun, while the south is still getting a little bit of sun when they should be getting nothing but darkness. I'll show some webcams to prove this point. So the first question you might ask is, of course, well, what is the midnight sun and where can we see it? And if we take a look at the answers we get from Yahoo's Answers.com, which I'm sure has nothing but the truth, right? It says, what months is Antarctica in total darkness? And they answer, oh, Antarctica is in total darkness all of September, October, November, December, January, February, and most of March. Well, this person didn't realize that that is the summer for the south, and they're not in all darkness for those months. It's ridiculous. So we'll look a little bit lower where we get NASA's answer. We know NASA never lies to us. NASA says that Antarctica has 6 months of darkness and 6 months of summer, and that the sun only rises and sets 1 time a year. That is complete and total bullshit. We'll see that in webcam footage in a minute. You'll see a little bit lower than their post is a post about the myth of the midnight sun, because it's a myth. That's exactly why, and I've said this many times, if somebody's lying to you, there's a reason, right? So we're lied to as kids about the polar sun or the midnight sun in the south and the midnight sun in the north. If it's a lie, there's a reason behind it. Wouldn't you agree? Now you'll see here there's a letter from somebody who works down at the Antarctic, and she's explaining when she gets to see the sun, and she says, of course, the same thing, that she sees 6 months of sun and 6 months of darkness. Simply not true. We'll look at webcam footage which proves it. And she even says at the end, do you know why we get this? Well, it's because the Earth goes around the sun in 365 days. That completes a year. Okay, now we're going to look at some webcam footage, and from this we should be able to figure out really easily that Antarctica can't possibly be a continent on the bottom of a globe. I wanted to point this out. If you do see a black circle appear over the center of the sun, this article says that on occasion, because of the brightness of the center of the sun, it will mess up the image sensors on the camera, which creates a black dot right in the center of the sun. You can believe that if you want. I'll leave that up to you. If somebody researches it, though, there's probably some good information that you could find as to why we are seeing a black dot in the middle of the sun when it crosses the view of the camera. So we're going to be looking at 4 different stations. The first one is Palmer, and that's right there. Second station we're looking at is Casey, and that is on the other side over here. That's one of the Australians' bases. The next one is Davis Station, and we can see that one right here. And then out on the island we have, I'm sorry, no, this one here is Scott Base, another Australian one. And then out on the island we have McMurdo, which is near Shackleton's Hut. So this is a webcam footage, and I will show you wherein lies the lie. So you see the sun come and go from your upper right to your upper left. And let's watch the shadow of the stick that's straight in front of us. So the kind of green one, straight ahead. Let's watch, keep an eye on that shadow, and you'll notice that the camera simply resets. So here comes the shadow towards us, but why don't we get to see the shadow go around? Notice that the shadow of the green flag is coming around, but we never see it go in front of the green flag. Why is that? Because the sun isn't going around the continent. If it was, we would see the sun go around, then it would be behind us. If the sun was behind us, the shadow of the green flag would be in front of it. But that never happens. What happens is the sun is coming in from the northeast, coming across the horizon and going off to the northwest. You can even watch the sky. If you watch the sky, you'll see it is circling northeast to northwest, not circling around us. Again, if it was going around us, we would see that flag pointing straight forward. So this is just one of the examples. I've got some more footage here to show you. But if you just go look, best place to go would be www.antarctica.gov.au/webcams/ you can put Casey, Davis, Palmer, and you're going to get webcams for those particular stations. Pay close attention to the date and time up in the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see that there's definitely an issue with what we're taught. One of the easiest ways to prove that also is the amount of time that it would get all-day sun or all-day night versus the North Pole. And we've got people who live near the North Pole, in Norway, in Alaska, in Canada, and those people can tell us what they see. And what they see does not match the opposite down in Antarctica, meaning if in the North Pole they're getting 4 months of full sun, then at that exact time the South Pole should be getting 4 months of full no sun. Doesn't happen. At the most they get 6 weeks. So it simply means we don't live on a globe. Now you'll notice here that they start, when the sun starts getting really low, they'll actually blow a fog or a smoke or could be even snow. I don't even know what they're blowing. But you'll see if you look straight ahead that there's a blower that blows along the horizon. The reason for that is so that people who are down there don't get to see what the sun is actually doing, which is not circling their heads. But it is not, they don't have a view of the sun. So I know it doesn't make sense, and I fully admit that this is something that we need to research, because somehow when the sun leaves to the northwest and circles all the way on the other side of the earth in its daily path, somehow it is remaining bright in Antarctica. Now, is that because of something in the atmosphere? Is it being some sort of reflection? Not sure. But it does prove two things. A, that it needs to be studied. B, that it's not a globe. Because if it was a globe, you would simply see the sun do a complete circle above your head. Now we can see this flag straight in front of us. Tell me why don't we see, where's the shadow of the flag at the, I don't know, what would you say, probably from 7 o'clock till midnight as far as a clock. We don't ever see the shadow there. See how the shadow starts at about 5 o'clock, or no, it's about 7 o'clock, and rotates counterclockwise. We see it come all the way up to about 1 and disappear every single time. That again comes down to, if they're lying to you, there's a reason. If things are real, you would have a 24-hour webcam. Think of the ISS. We don't get to see 24 hours of footage from space, just like we don't get to see 24 hours of footage from Antarctica. But you can watch pandas for 24 hours, or you can watch the grave of Andy Warhol. And so what I'm saying, as I've said a million times, is use your head. Why wouldn't they show you 24-hour footage from Antarctica? It's because it doesn't match what's in textbooks, because it's not true what's in textbooks, because it is not a continent on the bottom of a big ball, mostly because you can't live on a ball.
There's a lot going for the flat Earth, yeah, absolutely. There's an awful lot going for it, because I've analysed every facet and detail of the flat Earth, with the exception of Antarctica, which I'm looking into now and finding out that everybody has marched through that place.
by everyone, what exactly do you mean? Like everyone has been to Antarctica? Because it gets about 40,000 visitors a year, which I think is an extremely high number. But let's say they do get that many. Take that over the 7 billion people in the world. And the percentage of people that go to Antarctica is 0.0000058%. So you're right. Everyone has marched through that place.
But you'd have thought that these people who are pushing the idea that Antarctica doesn't exist would have done basic research first.
So, I have now shown you several reasons, Tiger Dan, as to why, once I had done the research, I believe that Antarctica is not a continent on the bottom of a globe. You called me a liar, you called me stupid, and so let's see if you can admit you were wrong or continue making claims based on zero research and zero evidence.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong about something. And I think that it's the case that a lot of 90% of these flat earthers out there, they get something wrong, they get proven wrong, and they just ignore you and continue to spout the lies, which is what I'm seeing taking place. They'll just continue lying to you. And I'm not about lies, I'm about truth. And if I find something that contradicts the official flat earth narrative, then I'm going to point it out and show you. Because I'm not about lying to people. So, yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm just really annoyed about this Antarctic thing. It does exist. It really is a continent, and it's down there, it's measurable, and it's not the outer perimeter of the flat Earth, so something else is. And I'll continue to look into it, and I'll get back to you as I come up with more information. So
hopefully you have seen that I've given you enough evidence now that you can take back the claim that you made that Antarctica must be and is a measurable continent at the bottom of a globe. It's not, and for many reasons, and I hope you can see that. Just looking at the screen now, watch this again. Keep an eye on the clock up there, the date and time in the upper left-hand corner, and watch the sun as it comes across the horizon, but it comes from the northeast, goes to the northwest, because in Antarctica, the sun's going to come into your view and then leave your view as it does its circle, its daily path throughout the flat plane that we call Earth. So, I do have some other webcam footage, but I'm going to probably end this video a little early since I didn't want to go too long and I've already gone half hour. So, the other video cam footage I will show in a separate video, but basically it's just going to touch on the problem with the midnight sun. The webcam footage shows the months of October and November when it's supposedly supposed to be nothing but daylight, and it will show that it clearly gets dark. And it also gets dark in late January and February, where we're told that there's a whole stretch of 6 months where it would stay dark and 6 months that it's light. Again, we could just keep our eye on what we're seeing in front of us now. Watch that green flag right in front of you. Watch as the shadow goes around in a half circle and then stops and resets and starts over. This is clear evidence that they are adjusting or faking webcam footage in order to prove to you something that is not true. And if somebody's doing that, there's only one reason why they would be lying to you. It's because they're hiding the truth. The truth being that the continent of Antarctica is not a continent. No matter what Tiger Dan thinks is truth and what he thinks is false, and no matter what he looked up, he didn't do enough research to make that claim. So, here's research. Do your own research. Don't trust me. Look up Antarctica webcams. Look at all the different stations. Go to Google Earth. Look at where they are looking so you know which direction you're facing. And then watch the webcams. Watch the times that are on them. Make sure that they're not skipping around. If you go back and watch some of these, you'll notice that as the clock is going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, it'll get to a certain number and skip 6 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, why is it doing that? Because it doesn't want to show you 24 hours of footage, because if you saw it, you would know that what you were taught is wrong and that those textbooks weren't meant to make you any smarter. They were meant to make you smart about the nonsense that they're teaching. So it's time we wake up and move on and realize that if anybody's going to make this world a better place, it certainly isn't going to be the people that are in charge now. So it's going to be our job, and that's what we're here to do. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. All right, guys, be kind to one another, don't lie to each other, and don't call others liars without reason or without proof. Till next time, this has been Jeranism. We'll see you soon. Peace!